Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason and this is a Cemeteries with Markers edition, and I am at Union Miners Cemetery in Mount Olive, Illinois. There's a monument dedicated to Mother Jones, plus a couple of memorials and a couple of historical markers here too. I'll go ahead and show you around. Here we go. So the cemetery does stretch back to both sides of the road, but I'm mostly going to be focusing on this side, and this is the entrance. And as you go in here, the resting place of real Union people. And in 1972 this was added to the National Register of Historic Places. And about a year ago, in October 2021, the Illinois State Historical Society erected this large marker here, and I'll go ahead and read it off to you. So the Union Miners Cemetery in Mount Olive, Illinois is the only labor union established and union-owned cemetery in the United States. It is the result of the Battle of Virden, fought in Verden on October 12, 1898, when the Chicago Verden Coal Company refused to honor the national wage negotiated by the United Mine Workers Union. An armed struggle broke out that day between miners and company forces, attempted to use scabs. 8 miners, 4 mine guards, and 1 company employee were killed. The bosses capitulated and agreed to the legal wage. 4 of the dead miners were from Mount Olive, but the owner of the privately owned town cemetery did not want dead miners buried there to prevent the cemetery from becoming a miner's shrine. Therefore, the United Mine Workers purchased land in Mount Olive in order to create a dedicated Union cemetery for the dead miners and all miners in the future. In 1932, the cemetery was deeded to the Progressive Miners of America Union. Today, a perpetual care committee tends the cemetery with the help of labor unions from around the country. The cemetery's labor history significance is recognized by inscription on the National Register of Historic Places. And this was placed here by the University of Illinois Mythic Mississippi Project, the City of Mount Olive, the Mother Jones Museum at Mount Olive, the Union Miners Cemetery Board, and, as I was saying, the Illinois State Historical Society in October 2021. Now, first and foremost, yes, I do know talking about unions can be a very controversial subject among some or most people. But I'm only doing this episode for historical purposes because this cemetery has very high historical value. But this is a very unique cemetery, and like I said, this is the only type of cemetery in this country, the United States, and it's right here in Mount Olive, Illinois. There are some unique headstones. In fact, I'm going to approach one of them. So here's kind of a unique stone right here for the Hand family. So right up ahead is the Mother Jones Monument, which is advertised on Interstate 55, which is not even 5 miles from here. And then there's a couple memorials, and this here is the memorial for those who were killed at the Verden Massacre. And by the way, Verden is about maybe 15 miles north of here. It's in Macoupin County, not too far from Sangamon County, where Springfield, Illinois is. But this was erected by the sub-districts 5 and 6 to the memory of miners killed at the Verden Massacre on October 12, 1898. I want to check out the back of it. And these were the 4: E.W. Smith and Joe Gitterl, Ernst Kammerer, and E.F. Long, the latter buried at Edwardsville, Illinois. Very interesting. And then here's another memorial over here before we get to the Mother Jones Monument. This one to the memory of General A. Bradley, erected by sub-districts of the United Mine Workers of America 5, 6, and 7 in District 12. So every year since 1899, on October 12th, this cemetery celebrates Miners' Day in remembrance of all the miners. And now we are approaching the monument and gravesite of Mary Harris Jones, better known as Mother Jones. If you want to know what she looked like, here she is. May 1st, 1830 to November 30th, 1930. And her boys is what she called them. So where do I start as far as Mother Jones? I mean, yes, she was a very highly controversial figure even during her lifetime. But I mean, I'm sure she led a great life, but definitely she devoted much of her life towards the Unions. And I mean, there's so much history I can get into, but this was where she chose to be buried with her boys once again. So let's see, it says here, please do not climb on the monument, which I'm not going to do, but I'm just going to get a little bit closer. Her final resting place. And these plaques right here are the names of the ones I just showed you on that monument over there, the ones that were killed at Verden, like E.W. Smith. And then they have like quotes on them, and that's General Alexander Bradley's right there. And then people have left buttons and a blueberry muffin pack. Okay. So what does it say on this right here? We counted death to falter, not to die. This was erected and dedicated October 12th, 1936, in honor and to the everlasting memory of Mary Mother Jones, General Alexander Bradley, and the martyrs of the Verden riot of 1898, by the members of the Progressive Miners of America and the Women's Auxiliary of the Progressive Miners of America, assisted by many loyal and devout friends, sympathizers, and labor and fraternal organizations. And then a poem after Mary Mother Jones. When the sun in all his state illumined the eastern skies, she passed through glory's morning gate and walked in paradise. Sleep the sleep of the noble blessed, for in life you sacrificed and gave. We pledge to fill your last request. Let no traitor breathe o'er my grave. And I know it's kind of hard to see in the sunlight, but there's a really nice plaque of Mother Jones' face, as well as two miners. Here is the back of the monument. Mother Jones was born in Cork, Ireland in 1830. She was also baptized there at age 7. When she was 10 years old, her and her family moved to Canada as a result from Irish famine that was going on there, and they were the victims of it. So they started a new life in Canada around the Toronto area. But when she was age 23, she moved to Michigan, and that would be one of many places she would live during her formative years. But she would marry a man named George Jones. George Jones was a member and organizer of the National Union of Iron Molders, which later became the International Molders and Foundry Workers Union of North America, which represented workers who specialized in building and repairing steam engines, mills, and other manufactured goods. Considering that Mary's husband was providing enough income to support the household, she altered her labor to housekeeping. But in 1867, there was a big major turning point in all their lives. It was Mother Jones' husband and their 4 children, 3 girls and a boy, all under the age of 5, all died from the yellow fever epidemic which was going on in Memphis. And after that tragedy, she returned to Chicago, where she had previously lived, to begin another dressmaking business. But then she would eventually lose her home, her shop, and possessions in the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. And it wasn't just hers, it was many other homes and shops. But like all the others, she wanted to help rebuild the city. So, according to her autobiography, this led her to join the Knights of Labor. And then she started organizing strikes. And I mean, there's so much more history and detail I could get into. But in 1902, she was called the most dangerous woman in America for her success in organizing mine workers and their families against the mine owners. A year later, to protest the tax enforcements of the child labor laws in the Pennsylvania mines and silk mills, she organized a children's march from Philadelphia to the home of President Theodore Roosevelt in New York. So she definitely devoted most of her life in helping out the workers and standing up for their rights. She was definitely more than an activist in her own right. Now, I'm not going to climb on this memorial, but this is one that shows the martyrs of the Progressive Miners of America. And it lists the names of the following that have given their lives to the cause of clean unionism in America. And a lot of them, I mean, actually all of them were killed in Illinois, from Harrisburg to Springfield to Christopher, Illinois. And her legacy still lives on today. There's actually a liberal magazine, or I guess more of a progressive minded magazine in her name, the Mother Jones magazine. You can find it online. or in print. And one thing I forgot to note is this is also a favorite stopping point whenever Tom Morello is on the road in between shows. If you don't know who Tom Morello is, he is the guitarist for Rage Against the Machine, and he was also with Audio Slave and many other projects. This talks about the donors of the memorial. And on the side it says here a quote from Mother Jones: "All nations, all men of power have gone down when wealth was in the hands of a few. I'm no angel, get it straight. I'm not a humanitarian, I'm a hell raiser." I love it. And down here is a sign. I don't know where it originally was, but it talks about her husband and their 4 children. And unfortunately, it is not known where they are buried. It says here, "Only God knows where they lay. We pray they rest in peace together now and forever." They were buried in unmarked mass graves in Memphis, Tennessee, which is definitely sad. And then here are some organizations and more donors. Now this has a much more detailed historical inscription to it, and I would love to go much into it, but I think I'll just go ahead and put it on the description box if I can, all this detailed information. Now for those who want to help keep the memorial alive and clean and the upkeep and everything, you can donate online to motherjonesmonument.org, or you can also visit them on Facebook at Union Miners Cemetery. You can also scan that QR code too. Here is the Mother Jones Museum, which sits here on East Main in downtown Mount Olive. It is part of the City Hall complex. If you would like to visit, be sure to check the hours on their website, which I'll have on the screen. Alright, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason at Union Miners Cemetery, just next to the Mother Jones Monument. Signing off.